2003, Danish-Icelandic artist Olafur Eliasson installed a setting sun in London's Tate Modern and invited visitors to bask in its warm glow. The Weather Project, as it was called, attracted over 2 million visitors.
So the elements I often work with are ephemeral elements such as fog or water or heat or mist or light, of course. And I would like to go against the objecthood in art. I would like to propose something more negotiable, navigational, something which was really relational to some extent. And in that sense, the ephemeral really was a perfect toolbox for me. I grew up here in Denmark, and I was lucky to have a close relationship to Iceland. My parents, they moved to Denmark before I was born, and I kept going back to Iceland. And because I was in Denmark, I celebrated the landscape in Iceland a lot. And because I was in Iceland, I really celebrated the Danish society a lot. I think in Scandinavian art history, something inspiring in terms of an interesting balance between form and content. What do you say and how do you say it? And of course, the sensitivity towards who is then in fact experiencing this. Yeah, this is my studio in Denmark. It's a building which is built 100 years ago, and by a Danish artist called Willumsen, a symbolist painter. He was obsessed with the arts and crafts movement, so everything in this house is sort of handmade, and there was a strong belief in that making things with your hand or using the knowledge of the hand would bring a spirit into the house, which had to do with appreciating the worker also. So there's that social dimension to the house, which is just so Scandinavian, which I like a lot. But so I come here from my bigger studio, which is in Berlin, and I come here to spend time with my family in Denmark. And I have this little refuge here where I can do smaller sketches, like smaller work like the ones behind me, and I'm here just sorting out my head, being by myself.
It's here that he mulled through the commission to install his work in an illustrious European palace, the Chateau de Versailles in France. He follows a line of great artists, Anish Kapoor and Jeff Koons among them.
This show at Versailles, of course, is a huge exhibition for me, and making a show like that goes through many phases. But just like when I look at an idea, it's also interesting to ask, where did Versailles come from to end up where it is today?
Eliasson's installation features a fountain recreated from original drawings at the time of the castle's construction, and the mirrors and bright lights reference Louis XIV, who was nicknamed the Sun King because of the brilliance with which he controlled the court at Versailles.
The history of Versailles very much is about that very idea of giving the power to the people, which of course Scandinavia thinks is a very Scandinavian idea. So in this space I studied then, well, what does it then mean to decentralize power, and how could I, when making an exhibition, also celebrate the fact that now everyone can be a Sun King or Sun Queen for that matter.
His latest commission is the design for a bridge in the city of Copenhagen. It may be functional, but Eliasson has found an artistic way to approach it.
You could call the bridge that I dig almost like a frictional space. You come with a certain trajectory, and suddenly you have to kind of negotiate that space where it says, oh, I'm on a bike, but there's a pedestrian and there's some children. I need to slow down. So this space offers you friction in terms of it asks you to think, well, how do I navigate? And being on boats and the whole idea of navigating and the whole idea of how we move is nice because it's so differently regulated compared to traffic and very pragmatic spaces. So I said, okay, now we're on the water, let's be afloat, right? Let's see if we could introduce that shared sense of space. That's a work of art and a bridge. which to my opinion actually reflects the values that I think are so important about public space and the society.